How's it going, Martians? Welcome back to another report, and this is going to be a really exciting article actually, and we're actually going to go over the piece of legislation behind this article after we do a read through of it. Now, be mindful, the article that we are reading is published on bitcoinist.com, and so even though it's talking about Ripple and XRP, Christine Visaleva, yeah, I can't say names. I can't pronounce most people's last names, so apologies, Christine, but at the same time, you definitely made a few false claims in this article, so I gotta call you out on it, and so I can't really be upset that I mispronounced your last name because, you know, I'd try a little bit harder if you were an honest journalist. At any rate, she's probably being paid handsomely to ensure that her article is a little bit negative against Ripple and XRP, despite just how bullish this is. Now, the article is titled Ripple and XRP Mentioned in Official U.S. Bill Proposal. Okay? So, a proposed bill on remittance insurances mentions Ripple and XRP as the newest developments in payment channels. And this is increased cross-border remittances have alerted U.S. regulators to the opportunities for tracking and securing funds. So, potential future platform for significant remittances. Ripple's XRP was mentioned in relation to cross-border payment systems in the proposed bill. And the bill right here is titled Remittance Transfers under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act, Regulation E. We'll jump into this after we finish her article here real quick, all right? And I want to read through the article so that you can understand how she is creating a false narrative here, right? So, the pending action, a document on remittance transfers under the Electronic Funds Transfer Act, Regulation E, is still in discussion until January 2021. It's not in discussion until 2021, it's in discussion until January of 2020, but then they will be going through the whole process which leads into January 2021. So, as you notice from the title of this, this is kind of a little bit of a giveaway. This is essentially the United States Fed giving a time frame on how long we have to get all of our ducks in a row in regards to our investment into XRP before this market really blows up. Now, it could happen earlier, but the time frame that's laid out in this piece of legislation, which we're going to read over a little bit of in a few minutes, really lays the groundwork for when we should, as investors, really expect to see significant returns on our investment. Apologies, by the way. Apparently I have some serious allergies to the pollen out here in Malaysia, so if you hear me sniffling or catch me sneezing once in a while, I'm going to try and edit those out of the video, but I'm sure one or two of them will stick in. All right, so the document proposes to secure funds sent through the growing selection of payment channels and cover the activity of fintech institutions and payment processors. The technical possibilities of new types of networks are allowing a more detailed and exact approach to insurance against losses. So, the bill suggests Ripple Network may work alongside SWIFT. Ripple's payment network was mentioned as one of the vectors of growth in the remittance market. The continued growth and expanding partnerships of virtual currencies companies such as Ripple, which offer both a payment messaging platform to support cross-border money transfers, as well as a proprietary virtual currency, XRP, which can be used to effect settlement of those transfers. Sorry for a little bit of a delay there, but idea is that essentially the Fed is acknowledging just what Ripple does, that they are developing a messaging system, RippleNet, which utilizes a virtual currency, cryptocurrency, digital asset, whatever term you want to use for describing XRP, to conduct settlements. So Ripple was mentioned also in relation to being a system which could exactly predict the funds to be received. The Bureau also believed that expanded adoption of Swift's GPI product or Ripple's suite of products could similarly allow banks and credit unions to know the exact final amount that recipients of remittance transfers will receive before they send the money or send the transfer. So, the document does. Now, this is where Christine gets a little bit. This is where it gets funny. This is where she makes a few false claims in her conclusion. And so let's go over this. The document does not mention other payment platforms or blockchains specifically, and XRP has been singled out as a digital asset related to a unique remittance system. Still, the proposed legislation on protecting remittances does not involve the issue or the assurance of transfers on other blockchain networks, but only fiat settlements. Now, I believe it might have even been, nope, it wasn't there. So I'm going to show you right here in the legislation where it calls out XRP, right? So again, I think she actually changed the wording a little bit. Yeah, they send the transfer. Yeah, so she actually changes the quote from the bill here. As you see, the Bureau also believes that the expanded adoption of Swift GPI product so again, this is also something else that she tries to claim that this is Ripple network may work alongside Swift, but you can see that they're saying the Bureau also believes that expanded adoption of Swift's GPI product, big importance on the difference between the words and the words or. Everybody should understand this if you're a native English speaker. And so they say Swift's GPI product or Ripple's suite of products, right? Now, let's see. I believe it probably says just about the same thing here, but we're going to read directly from the bill. The continued growth and expanding partnerships of virtual currencies companies such as Ripple, which offer both a payment messaging platform to cross-border money transfers, as well as a proprietary virtual currency, XRP, which can be used to effect settlement of those transfers. Now, here's something weird, right? She is supplying something as a direct quote. She doesn't put, if you're going to paraphrase, you usually put ... between where you're cutting out something, and she's not only putting in these where she's making these claims, but she's outright pretending that this is actually what is being said when it's not, right? So she rephrased, and this in normal language, what I just read may not have sounded entirely different to many people out there, but when it comes to actual legal documentation, how things are worded, words and terminology is extremely important. So what her quote up here implies is that the XRP can be used to effect settlements of those transfers, when in fact the legislation says that XRP, which can be used to effect settlement of those transfers. Now, the term used in there implies that XRP will be utilized, used, effectively inserted in between the settlement of these fiat transfers. In other words, her statement down here that this is not going to use, or that this is not going to involve the insurance of transfers on other blockchain networks, but only fiat settlement, is false, because XRP is a blockchain network. I mean, it's technically a Merkle tree, but Merkle trees are blockchain technologies. Okay, it's a form of blockchain. So, yes, this is the federal government not only saying that it likes what Ripple's doing and it understands how XRP is going to be utilized, but this legislation is in effect being written for the purpose of enabling financial institutions to hold XRP. Why? How so? Well, if you actually go up to the top of the bill here and you'll read, the Electronic Fund Transfer Act, as amended by the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, Dodd-Frank Act, establishes certain protections for consumers sending international money transfers or remittance transfers. The Bureau of Consumer Finance Protection Remittances Rules in Regulation E implements these protections. The Bureau is proposing changes to the rules to mitigate the effects of the expiration of a statutory exemption that allows insured institutions to disclose estimates instead of exact amounts to consumers. That expectation expires on July 21st, 2020. In addition, the Bureau is proposing to increase a safe harbor threshold in the rule related to whether a person makes remittance transfers in the normal course of its business, which would have the effect of reducing compliance costs for entities that make a limited number of remittance transfers annually. Okay? So, effectively, what this is doing is enabling for financial institutions to have a loophole which will include XRP, and only XRP. Is Bitcoin here? No. Bitcoin, no Bitcoin, no Ethereum. Is there Chainlink? No, no Chainlink. No other digital asset is mentioned in this bill. Only XRP, only Ripple, maybe Circle. Is Circle in here? Is Circle in here? Nope, Circle's not even in here, okay? So this is huge for us as XRP investors because it's the federal government recognizing only one blockchain, and that blockchain is XRP. So we, as investors, simply have to wait until, where's the date here? Up here at, where was it? January. Okay. Till the comments must be, all comments on this legislation will be received by January 21st, 2020. That's when discussions end, all right? Now, also, by January 2021, all modifications to this bill will be finalized. So the Bureau also seeks comments on whether a mid-year change in the safe harbor threshold would pose any complications for providers or cause confusion, and if so, whether the Bureau should make the change to the safe harbor threshold effective on some later date, such as January 1st, 2021. Okay? So, the idea is that by the end of January of 2020, they want to have all this fleshed out. And then by July, they're going to have, or by July, this regulation should be in the testing beta phase, where basically it's, and they're receiving consumer or entity feedback from the financial institutions that are involved in this. And then by January 2021, this will go effectively into law. And at that point, that is when everybody gets to say, let's go cheap finance. Let's save 80+% on our international transfers using RippleNet, using XRP. So super exciting article. Honestly, I think that this might be the most, this might be the biggest announcement that we've actually gotten this year, because it's actually a hard piece of legislation that specifically names Ripple and XRP in it for the use case that we've all been waiting for Ripple to be able to be acknowledged under a regulatory framework here in America. So very exciting stuff. I look forward to seeing if anything extra is announced. especially early in January. We'll follow this. I will be checking back rather regularly, maybe once a week on this to see if they've added any modifications to this, to see if we get any further details before then. But nonetheless, until then, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope you all had a great weekend, and let's get to an awesome week of covering everything that comes out regarding our favorite digital asset. So I'll see all of you guys in the next one, as always, on Mars.